Hamas militants broke through barriers around Gaza and roamed at will, killing scores of civilians in Israeli towns. More than 250 Israelis were killed and over 1,500 wounded. An unprecedented number of Israeli victims in a single day. Analysts are flagging intelligence gaps which undermined what was thought to be an aggressive and successful layered approach towards Gaza by Israel. Is the nation paying a price for Netanyahu's policies? That's a question which is being raised. For Israelis, images of dead bodies lying in the streets or groups of civilians being driven or marched into captivity in Gaza came as a profound shock. Minister Yoav Gallant has approved a wide-scale call-up of reservists, and Israeli defense chiefs are facing growing questions over how the disaster could have happened. A day after the 50th anniversary of the start of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, Israel appeared once again to have been surprised by a sudden attack, and yet again on an Israeli holiday. Remember, at the start of the 1973 war, Israeli forces were caught off guard by Syrian and Egyptian tank columns. Retired General Giora Eiland, a former head of Israel's National Security Council, says the events were quite similar to what happened at that time. An army spokesperson said there would be discussions on the intelligence preparations down the road, but for the moment, for now, the focus was on fighting.
This is a huge disappointment for the, erstwhile lauded intelligence apparatus of Israel. Israeli intelligence has been world-renowned for its expertise in staying one step ahead of its adversaries. And Hamas has humiliated the Israeli intelligence apparatus as a result of this incident. So there's no question that this is deeply humiliating.
Israel has always regarded Hamas as its sworn enemy. Since inflicting heavy damage on Gaza in a 10-day war in 2021, Israel had adopted a mix of carrot and stick to maintain stability in the blockaded enclave. It offered economic incentives, including thousands of work permits allowing Gazans to work in Israel or the West Bank. Now, at the same time, it maintained a tight blockade and the constant threat of airstrikes. For the past 18 months, violence has raged across the West Bank. Gaza had been relatively quiet, apart from sporadic cross-border clashes, mainly involving the smaller Islamic Jihad movement, with Hamas remaining largely on the sidelines. Now, Hamas has controlled Gaza since 2007. Netanyahu's right-wing government has always made great play of its security credentials and taken an uncompromising stance towards the Palestinian militant factions. However, when the time came, Israel's security apparatus appeared to break down. A force of Hamas gunmen, estimated in the hundreds by the military, broke through security fences. They scattered into towns. Former Israeli National Security Advisor Eyal Hulata said, and I'm quoting here, "This is a very coordinated attack, and unfortunately, they were able to surprise us tactically and cause devastating damage." Now, critics are pinning the blame on Prime Minister Netanyahu. After his victory in the last election, Netanyahu took overt steps to annex the West Bank. Netanyahu government's measures included a massive expansion of settlements and bolstering of the Jewish presence on Temple Mount near the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The Prime Minister has been boasting of an impending peace deal with the Saudis, in which the Palestinians would get nothing. As expected, signs of an outbreak of hostilities began in the West Bank. Israeli media reports state Palestinians started feeling the heavier hand of the Israeli occupier, and Hamas exploited the opportunity in order to launch a surprise attack.